right now. So we're recording this, so if you want to watch later on and skip my part of just rambling on, that's totally fine. You can skip it and go to the meat of today's webinar. But if you can listen to me on a different device, if it's possible, and you want to physically do a few things, I invite you to do that. With that being said, if you can't, well, you have the slides, and some of the instructions will be in those slides today. Okay? All right. If you don't know who I am, my name is Chris Giles. I've been fortunate enough to work in the district now. This is my 5th year. I've been a classroom teacher for over 17 years, taught everything from pre-K to high school, taught elementary for 6 years. In Phoenix, elementary is in 6th grade. So I taught 6th grade, which is all the content areas that you teach as an elementary teacher. And then also taught high school and ELA, and spent 2 years in Brazil teaching as well. I only tell you that because I want you to know that my experience as a teacher comes with what I do. I really do my best to look at what we do as a teacher, to see it through the lens of a teacher, and to try to hopefully support you like a classroom teacher, because that's what I've done. And also taught 5 years online as well. I have some awesome friends here today, and I would love for Christina and Jen to introduce themselves today.
Hi there, my name is Jen Mann, and I work with TNL. I support secondary math and the digital curriculum team.
And she's awesome.
Hi, I'm Christina Schultz. I'm the library instructional technology teacher at Westview High School. I've taught for 10 years plus something, and I've been at Westview for the last 4 as the lit.
Yeah, and she's awesome. I say that because at our secondary schools, we do have Canvas facilitators. Our elementary schools are not so lucky. That doesn't mean you're on your own. That means you can reach out to me. We also work with Carrie Kunert and Nicole Carter, 2 other individuals I work with. Jen and I both work on the same team, and they're also here to support you, obviously with Seesaw, but also if you have questions with Canvas once we get going. If you don't hear from me, that's another person you can speak to. So we're going to talk about leveraging Canvas to connect, engage, teach, check, and respond. And you've probably seen those 5 terms over and over again, and we keep using them because when it comes to online learning, how are you going to do these things? And Canvas is going to be one of those tools that you will use, hopefully, to be able to do those things, to connect with your students, to engage, to teach, check, respond. And today we'll show a few things that you can actually work on today. We're going to actually talk about discussions today, so you can actually go ahead and experience and see what that looks like. Our plan today is to talk about the Canvas agreements really briefly, not a whole lot. We're going to talk about communication. We're going to talk about your homepage, and we're going to try to create some content. We only have 40 minutes, so we're going to do what we can today. And then, like I said, on Thursday, we're having 4 specific intentional sessions in the morning and in the afternoon. You already know that part. Okay, so real quickly, I don't want to spend a ton of time on the agreements because you've seen them, you've heard them. Elementary folks may have not, and I apologize, but it simply means that if you're a new Canvas teacher, a new teacher using Canvas, you're going to most likely be at level 1, which is simply means, you know, you're going to get a homepage, you're going to personalize it, you're going to go ahead and begin to use things like communication tools. So it's really basic. We're not here to make you feel like you have to jump through hoops. We're here to support you. But the goal of these agreements is so that our staff across the district can have a consistent approach to using Canvas. And I don't know if you were all parents in our district last year, but it was pretty challenging as a parent to receive tons of communication in multiple ways. So we're trying to reduce the communication. And my hashtag this week is annoy me. I mean, my hashtag is don't annoy me, just inform me, or actually inform me, don't annoy me. So we're trying to reduce the amount of communication that happens so that our parents feel informed but not annoyed. And so that's the purpose of those agreements, is to give our teachers some consistent platform on how we're using Canvas across the district. And if you don't have access to these, I'll put them in the chat. And again, if your district, if your school or your team is not using Canvas, that's fine. But some of these still kind of qualify as far as even if you're going to be using Seesaw. All right. So more than likely, if you are an elementary teacher or a high school teacher, and I apologize for not differentiating our group today, so I'm going to do my best to meet both of you, different groups, but middle school has one template and elementary has a just separate template. And the reason why is because, of course, we do things differently, right? High school and middle school will receive the one on the right, elementary will receive the one on the left. It's really shrunk down, so it's not gonna be that size on your page, but it's intended to kind of work with the elementary workflow, and it's intended to work with secondary workflow. That does not mean you can't personalize it, and we'll talk about personalizing it today. As far as what's in the Canvas agreements, one of the things, let me go back to this. one of the reasons why we have the homepage is to reduce all the navigation on the left. And a few minutes ago, I showed you that when you go into a Canvas course, you see all, I'm sorry, I'll highlight all this on the left-hand side. Those are all links. If we allow those to be seen by students, it's too many options. I'm a student, I'm going to be distracted. And so part of the reasoning behind giving these templates is not to make you feel like you all have to do the same thing, but is to reduce all of these navigational links. And basically what you see is every time you see an eyeball, that simply means that the students are not going to see that until you've either published something or you've released it to them. So elementary and high school, secondary are going to have a very similar links on the left-hand side. Matter of fact, I think we have 5 altogether. You can add more, but for now, we're trying to reduce the amount of that students see. And then the other part with the syllabus of the agreements is what's called the syllabus. I don't want to speak for elementary. I'm not sure if you're supposed to do a syllabus, but in secondary, a syllabus just effectively tells parents your policies on grading and reporting and communication and how to get a hold of you. And so that's what when we talk about syllabus, that's what it is. Elementary, if you don't want to do a syllabus, but you'd rather do a meet the teacher, that would be the same thing, right? All right. One of my good friends, Patrice, took her syllabus that used to be a plain old long document, and she actually made it into a Google slide. And so it's an interactive syllabus for her students to go ahead and click around. We're going to talk about the calendar today. So when we talk about level 1, communication is one of those really important things for level 1, and we'll actually get into the calendar. I'm going to show you what it looks like. You're actually going to click and do something in the calendar. But as far as the calendar, the reason why it's such a powerful tool is because it tells students what's due, when it's due, and they can easily find what they need to do. And if you're a parent like I am of 3 students, if you're a parent in our school district, if you just go to the calendar, you will know instantly the things that your students have coming up if the teachers are publishing things with due dates. So the calendar is basically like the central hub for what students are doing, what's due, and how to find it. The great thing about the calendar is you don't have to physically do much. You could actually just create your assignments and create the content, put a date on it, and it automatically shows up on the calendar. So you don't have to spend time in both worlds if you don't want to. Somebody said the Google Sites for my classroom, is there a way to make part of that at my homepage? You know, if you want to, you can. I'm not going to, I think part of it is if you're using an outside entity like a Google site or a different web page, you have to be very, I guess the best word would be, I guess just considerate of the communication you're using. So just kind of run that with, we're trying to reduce the amount of places that students go. So yes, you can put a link on your Google Sites page if you really wanted to. All right, the next thing is communication is the inbox. Canvas has an inbox that allows you to go ahead and send messages. So here's communication real quickly. As a teacher, you're gonna probably communicate with your students through email, phone calls, text messages. You're gonna write them letters. You're gonna go ahead and send them postcards. You're gonna do all of these things until you finally know that you have a connection. And once you make a connection with those students, now your goal is to kind of reduce how many tools you're using. So right now, at the beginning of the year, you might use 5 or 6, 7 communication tools until eventually you know you've connected with every one of your students, because maybe one student only connects to you by email and another one only by text. But eventually your goal is to say, okay, I'm going to use email, I'll use Zoom, and hopefully Canvas as my communication tool. If you want to use more, that's fine. I just don't think it's sustainable for teachers to be able to use 5 or 6 different tools to continue to communicate. So with that being said, you can send an inbox message to students and parents. And here's what's awesome. You could actually get it. I don't know if you can see my phone, but you can actually reply from it on your phone. You don't actually have to log into Canvas if you don't want to. So you can set up to be communicated with, and it'll send it a text message to your phone, and you can actually, or a text, and you can actually reply from your phone to a parent or a student on your phone. So it's a really great feature. Again, we're trying to help you narrow down the tools eventually that you're going to be using. All right. And so basically the big thing is of course, communicate, create, and content. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And then of course, everything, our goal is to try to be consistent. We don't want our students having to click all over the place in Canvas. So That was pretty fast. So we're actually going to spend the next like 20 minutes demoing. So I hope that if you don't have a computer, that's fine. You can just watch. You don't have to do anything. But if you have a computer and you're like, dude, I'm ready to go, then that's what the next 15, 20 minutes is going to be about, is us physically doing something in Canvas with your computer. And Christina, do we have any questions that you want, or anything that you want to say, or Jen, before we get moving?
There was a question about how to use the calendar and how that shows up for students. I don't know how that navigates or translates for elementary and middle school, so you might want to.
No, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the calendar today, specifically what it looks like for students and how it can be used. So yeah, we'll definitely do that. And then how do you add basic assignments? Yeah, so we'll talk about that as well today. Like I said, we're going to cover some things. You're not going to walk away full, but we're hoping we'll give you enough that you can walk away and feel like you can do something a little bit later on today. So we're going to do an inbox message, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. And you're actually, if you want to demo and try to do that, you can go ahead and try to do that in a Canvas course if you want to. But as far as the inbox, you can choose the course that you want to send a message to, and you can even send a message to a specific or a particular student. So I'm going to just model for you, and then I'm going to go ahead and go back to the screen and show you what that looks like. So on the left-hand side in Canvas, I see dashboard, courses, calendar, and inbox. And when I click on inbox, it's just like email. As a matter of fact, you'll get a little tiny notification, a little dot that has a number next to it that says, this is how many inbox messages you have. Now, I don't want to add more to your plate. If you want to just do email, that's totally fine. You don't have to do a Canvas inbox. I'm not telling that you have to add one more communication tool, but the strength to the inbox is that you can go ahead and reply, and you can basically link content right into the inbox from a Canvas course. So it's already kind of connected. So it's not students going to an email and then having to go to Canvas. You can keep all that in there in one place. Do I have an idea what elementary? Yeah, we'll talk about that. So with that being said, I click on my inbox, and then these are all my messages. I've got quite a few from older ones. I can choose the course that I want to actually message a course to. So I can choose any favorite course if I want to. There's a lot of courses that I actually teach. So if I want to go ahead and send one to this one, I can. And then I can click the pencil and go ahead and compose. And what happens is when you click the word to, it'll actually pull up and actually allow you to decide, do you want to write this message to students, to all teachers, or to parents in the course? So if this was a course populated with students, I could choose all of my students, individual students, and then observers are your parents. And so what you're not seeing right now is it's not showing, there it is, my kids, Kaylee, Oakley, and Kai. So I could actually click on students and individual all students, or I could mail all of the students in this course at the same time. So I just want to take a moment and just kind of briefly show again, inbox. I can choose the course that I want to mail to. So in this case, I'm going to go to my test course, which has my kids already in it. And then I can choose to compose this email. And again, I can click the little person, the little contact, and I can decide to email it to all the students, all the parents, or I can choose individual students if I want to.
Chris,
I can also, go ahead.
Sorry. Could you mention how students can communicate to their teacher?
Yes. So the same rule applies for a student and a teacher as well. If I'm a student, I can click on the inbox and I can choose the course that I want to communicate with. And so if I'm a student, I can go ahead and inbox my teacher the same way I'm showing you right here. So you can, your students can connect with you from Canvas. And if a plain text message is not all that fun for you, you can go ahead and record videos. So it doesn't always have to be about text messages. If you want to go ahead and say, here's my answer, you can type it in. But if you want to go ahead and hit a record button down below and choose to record the video, you can actually record the video and send it to your students. Say, this is me recording a video to you, telling you that I don't think you turned in yesterday's work. And then I can save that message in that inbox and it'll go right to the student. So I might type my answer, but I might save it so that my student can not only read my information, but they can also hear me saying it. And if you don't want to just like, oh, Chris, I don't want video, you can actually go ahead and choose not video. You can choose webcam, turn it off, and just do a audio instead. So you don't always have to have your face on the screen. If you want to go ahead and do an audio recording, you can do an audio recording as well. You can also upload from your phone if you want to. So I want to just briefly stop for a minute because it's technically your turn. So I don't want to spend a lot of airtime waiting, but at the same time, I don't want to rob you of the opportunity to go ahead and click in Canvas, click on the inbox and just try something. Many of you are already enrolled in a course as a staff. All of you who are in high school and secondary schools, middle school and high school, you're already in a staff course. You could actually inbox anybody from your staff in that course if you wanted to right now. So I just want to take a minute and just stop for just a moment and just kind of like, again, I don't want to like rob you of the time of not doing it, but I also kind of want to like, hey, try it out. But again, inbox, and then you can send a message. And again, middle school, high school, you're already enrolled in an all staff course as a student. So you can actually email your principal in that course if you wanted to. Elementary doesn't have an all staff. Technically, actually, Erica, I think I spelled it wrong. Alicia, you actually, every school in the entire district has an all staff course. It's just that your principal may not want to use it, and that's totally okay. There's no pressure for principals to have to use that course in elementary, but it does exist in every school. Matter of fact, there's an all student course and an all staff course too. All right.
So,
yes, go ahead.
Sorry, thank you. So when we send a message out through Canvas, does it go to their email or they only see it in Canvas?
No, great question. So what you can do, and as I showed you this morning, I want to do it right now because your question was great. I can actually click on, so I'm in Canvas, I'm going to click on my account where it says account, and I'm going to go over here to where it says settings, and a teacher can do this, a student can do this, a parent can do this. And on the right-hand side where it says add ways to connect, I can actually add another email, or if I want to go ahead and add phone numbers where it says for all devices, I can go ahead and add a phone number. So the short answer to your question is it will go to their email because their email is associated with Canvas instantly. But a student might decide, you know what, I use my personal email instead, or a parent might do the same thing. Or as a teacher, you can also add your own phone number here. And when you do that, it's going to send a text message to you. So if a student was to inbox you from Canvas, you would get a notification on your phone and you can reply to the student from your phone without having to go and log into Canvas. You can reply right there. Hopefully that answers your question. But yes, the answer is also, it is in their Canvas inbox as well.
But then when they message me, in the past, I don't get that email. I just see it in Canvas.
Well, what it should happen is it depends on if, like somebody just sent me a message right now. Awesome. If you have it set up so it's your email, then I'll show you one last thing. Not only under my account where it says settings, but see where it says notifications. As a teacher, I'm also going to go ahead and decide when somebody is messaging me and sending me information, like add it to a conversation message. I can go ahead and actually turn these on so I'm notified instantly or not notified at all. So it's totally possible that under your account and under notifications, you might want to just check to see is push on. In other words, will you receive that information instantly? And then how quickly will you get that?
Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I do have a message from somebody. Maybe it's a surprise message. Oh, yay.
Do you want to go through how you can toggle the view on the dashboard so you can see only a limited number of courses instead of all of them?
Oh, yes. Oh, you mean my wonderful dashboard that's got 10,000 courses on it? Yes, I can. Earlier this morning, we were talking about, when we did their 101 earlier this morning, we talked about if you went to the dashboard, that's all the courses that you're either teaching as a teacher or as a student you're taking. That's a lot of courses, and I have a ton. But if you click on courses and go to courses, then all courses, this will allow you to put a star next to the course that's your favorite course. The same rule applies for parents and students. So if I don't want to see, second grade template or fifth grade, I can unstar it. It won't show up on my dashboard. Matter of fact, I might go through all of these courses and just say, you know what, I don't want any of these except for these three, that one, and I'll take this one, and I'm going to go ahead and uncheck the rest of them. And when I do that, and I hit that dashboard, my dashboard will update and refresh, and now will show that I've chosen to either keep all those courses, which again, I still have a lot of courses, but I can change those. And I can also move courses around. You can rearrange them however you want, and you can click the little pencil and change the color overlay if you want to. So, all right, so that's kind of like inbox. Again, I'm not asking you to do an inbox. You don't have to, but just be aware of it. If you're using Canvas and you're like, why is there a number of 500 next to my inbox in Canvas? It's because students may be sending you messages in Canvas. So that's the reason behind that. I'm staying in this view because I'm actually going to go to the next thing, which is the calendar today. We're going to talk about the calendar. The calendar is probably the most powerful feature in Canvas, and discussions is the second most powerful feature, in my opinion, when it comes to using Canvas. And I will tell you why. With the calendar, you can go ahead and tell students instantly what's due, when it's due, and how to find it. They can quickly and easily find what they have, what's coming up for their teachers, and they can quickly get to that content. And I'll show you what that looks like. Yeah, and it does depend. So I'm going to go to my calendar and I'm going to demo it for you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on calendar. And it'll take just a minute to open up because I have a lot of courses. The more courses you have, unfortunately, the longer it takes to operate. So some people might want to like be extra patient, I guess. There we go. So this is my calendar, and what you're seeing right now is that I have 3 things happening. I have an agenda on my calendar. So if I'm a teacher, I can actually put what we're learning today on the calendar and that the students can quickly find the information. If I want to have them do an assignment, a quiz, a discussion, it doesn't matter what it is, I can go ahead and create that, put a date on it when it's due, and my students now know, oh, look at, on the 2nd of September, I have a discussion that I have to do. So what happens is, as a teacher, is I can put things instantly with a date. I'll show you. And then it shows up on the calendar on the day that it's due. So I want you to remember that. It's not so much the day you're assigning it. Today is Tuesday. I'm not making it for today. I'm making the assignment for tomorrow. So if I want my students to engage in a discussion tomorrow, I'm going to put it on the day that I want them to click on it. And again, if I'm a parent, I can go to the calendar and I can go look at, on the right-hand side, are all the courses that my child is taking or that I as a student am taking, and I can unselect any course I want. So I don't want to see this course and I don't want to see this course. And when I do unselect the courses, that information disappears. But by selecting those courses, brings back the dates or the calendar events that are due for this course. So for example, my course made things disappear and now they're coming up. So as a student, I have the ability to decide, I don't really want to see all the courses. Matter of fact, I'll unselect all of them except for maybe 2 courses. And when you do that, you can go ahead and kind of like narrow down the scope of what you're seeing in the course. So right now, this student has 1 discussion that's due on the 2nd, and they can actually click on the discussion right now and be taken to it and start working on the discussion instantly. So the powerful thing about the calendar is it's a place where students get to know what's coming up, what's due, and how to find it. And you don't have to do a lot of extra work to make that happen for you. Before we talk about things like seeing due dates on calendar, can we learn how to post? Yes, I'm going to show you that right now. So I'm glad you brought that question up. So let's talk about the calendar and how do you make things happen, because we talked about. So let's do this real fast. So I'm on my calendar, I'm at teacher. The first thing I'm going to do is make sure that I've chosen my course on the right-hand side. So I'm going to make sure I choose the course that I want my event or my assignment to show up on. And I can click anywhere I want. So I'm just going to click tomorrow. And when I do that, I'm confronted with a window and it says, what would you like to do? Do you want to make an assignment? Do you want to make something that's to do? Or do you want to do an appointment group? Well, I, as a teacher, only spend time in either event, which is, think of an event as like in a whiteboard agenda, or an assignment, a task that I want them to physically do, okay? So right now, if I want to go ahead and give them a task, I can just say, you know, turn in cell essay. That's the name of the essay. And I can decide that I'm going to go ahead and not publish it or publish it. And I can put a date on it. And I'm going to say it's due tomorrow. And I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. Now, instantly it showed up in the calendar. Now, I want you to realize that there's nothing in there. I didn't put any instructions. I didn't put any information in there. I just put something on the calendar for my students to be aware of. That's not necessarily my workflow as a teacher, but if you wanted to quickly put something on your students' calendar that's upcoming, that's one way of quickly doing that. Okay.
Can you address?
Yeah, let's just do that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
can you
Go
address
ahead.
the difference between? So you talked about it a little bit, but in terms of assignments and events,
Yes.
my memory from when I used to use this a long time ago is that assignments are automatically populated to, wait, I'm doing that backwards. If you make an assignment, it's out. Okay, if you make an assignment, but you don't put it into the calendar directly, it will automatically show up in the calendar. Not true for events. Is that right?
Yeah, that'll.
Yeah, so well, I think it's a great question. So let me just clarify. If you make an assignment and you don't put a due date, it does not show up on the calendar. That is correct. So the reason, and we go back to those agreements and we talk about how the one thing we want to try to do is consistent approach. So if we want our students to do something, an assignment, a quiz, whatever, and they're going to turn it into Canvas and do it, we want them to know when it's due. And so by putting a due date on something, that will show up on the calendar automatically. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. But just to address the event, somebody had asked the difference between an event and an assignment. And I just want to clarify what the difference is. When I click on any date, if you want to know the simplest way to use Canvas, this to me is the fastest way to use Canvas. Click on any day, and I'm going to go ahead and choose an event. And I'm going to go ahead and write down daily agenda. And I'm going to say daily agenda for math, and I'm going to call it click here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a daily agenda for my math class that I'm seeing tomorrow. So I'm going to choose the course. I'm going to make the title. I'm going to choose the course so that my students know what course it is. And I'm going to hit more options. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and write down the daily agenda. And if I wanted to, as a teacher, really quickly, I can say, you know, today we're going to do finish up fractions. And then we're going to go ahead and do a, I don't even know, a math discussion. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a simple agenda. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and make my agenda a header just because I like my students to know. And then I might want them to say, today we're going to go ahead and watch a short math video on fractions. And I'm not going to say watch. And I'm going to go ahead and put in that YouTube video right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a small video. Now, I'm not filling this up with a lot of information. My agenda is supposed to be simple. It's what we're doing for today in class. And when I hit create event, then at the very least, my students are informed instantly what we're doing today in class or what we're doing for tomorrow. It's going to create that for me in just a second. So
that's great.
Go ahead.
That's great. And so then they only my students in that particular class sees it. But
only the students in that class will see it. So if I'm a fifth grade teacher, I'm probably going to be using my homeroom class to do this and only this. And again, fifth grade, fourth grade teachers, I'm not telling you have to do this, but a calendar event is just like that whiteboard agenda that you've had in your classroom. What are we doing today? And this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm telling them what we're doing today. If I'm high school or secondary, I can do the same thing and make an event, and only the students in this class will see it. So if school starts Monday, literally for all of you, let's just say pretend, and my students are like, what do I have to do? I'm literally going to give them an event and put it on Monday. And then I'm going to tell them what we're doing in class for Monday. And I say click here because when they click on this, I actually put in a video of myself reading today's instructions. So not only did I put my instructions for today's lesson, but I also went ahead and recorded a video. And so that's the reason why I say click here, is I want them to actually open it up and see it.
Chris,
yes.
Could teachers also, I'm not asking a question, I guess I should just say, also a great place to put, you know, like the weekly agenda for maybe secondary teachers who want to like give a snapshot of what the week's going to look like. and kids will see it on Monday, even if something is not due till later in the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I'm thinking daily, but if you want to do one for the week, let's say in secondary you are seeing your students twice that week, it's okay to do one event. And again, I call it event because that's what it's called, and I'm just using the verbiage and agenda. And so I can make it to be one day if I wanted to. I could go ahead and stretch it to make it over 2 days. I can even move it and say, you know what, it's actually due on this. It's actually something to inform them. This is not going to show up on the students' to-do list. It's not something they have to do. This is just a routine of today's Monday. What am I doing today? How do I know that information? And so me as a teacher, I would use my whiteboard to do that. Well, the calendar is replacing that whiteboard where I'm going to simply write down what we're doing in class today.
And then can you show how to do an assignment and like maybe how to embed something from Google inside an assignment?
Yeah, totally. So just to kind of quickly stop for just a minute. Yeah, I can do that. So again, the difference between an event and assignment. An event, when I click on the calendar and I can click on any day I want, an event is simply information. I want my students to be aware of something. It is not something they have to do. So in my opinion, I strictly use an event as an agenda. Here's what we're learning in class today. Here's what we're learning in class this week. It doesn't send them a notification. It doesn't annoy them. It doesn't irritate them, and parents won't freak out. But if I'm a parent, I can click on my students. Actually, if I'm a parent, I can click on my own account and I can go, oh, Christina, this is what you're doing for math this week. And I can easily see what's coming up for her class. Now, an assignment is physically something that students are going to have to do and turn into you. It could be a quiz. It could be a discussion. It doesn't really matter what it is. Hopefully I clarify. And how do you resize the videos? Once you get into any course that you want to get into, I'm going to go, I apologize, click on my event, hit edit, more options. When you do your videos from YouTube, you can choose to have them be any size you want. And I typically choose the small one. When you click on the little arrow, students can make it bigger. I just do small. Okay. And then, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, if you're doing your agenda, you can go ahead and also record right here. And so I can go ahead and record myself reading today's instructions to my class. And this recorder happens everywhere. I mean, if you want to make an assignment, record your instructions. If you want to make a quiz, record your instructions. If you want to make a discussion, the same rule applies for everything in Canvas when it comes to creating an assignment, quiz, discussion, event. It's the same rule. You can go ahead and embed videos, record yourself, add some color, add some images, those kinds of things.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Someone was asking if there's like 8 or more things on the list for the day, would they be able to see them all? Could you show how they could see the week view, and that gives them a little bit more real estate, maybe training your kids to look at the week so that they can see things a little bit more easily?
Yeah, and I'm going to do my best to get to the next thing for sure, but what Jen's asking is a really important question. It's something I didn't actually cover and I should have. But as a student, and again, as a parent, as a teacher, the same rules apply. I can not only select the courses I want to see, but at the top where it says agenda, I can click on agenda, and now I actually have a cleaner view of what's coming up this week. Like Jen had mentioned, sometimes the calendar, I mean, I could put 3 or 4 events in the same calendar. That gets a little bit crowded. So I can unselect the courses that I don't want to look at, but I can also click on agenda. And now as a student, I can go and say, okay, on Wednesday, I know that this is an event. That's what the calendar says. This is due. This is something that my teacher wants me to be aware of and to do. So it's a great idea for us to help our students understand how to do calendar management, understand how they can select the courses they want to look at, and also click between month and agenda. Because the reality is, if they are taking 4 or 5 classes, this one day could be full, unfortunately. And so we want to make sure we can help them unselect courses and be able to manage that. As a teacher, you can move these components wherever you want to. So if you're like, oh, I made a mistake, this is not due till tomorrow, you can move those components around. Okay, that's a lot. I mean, usually when I do like this, and we're talking about new beginners, I'll just start out with like, let's just do the calendar. But that doesn't mean I want you to stay there forever. It just means you need to be aware that when you put assignments out for students with due dates, it shows up, and I'll show you what that looks like. But are there any questions? Because I want to just stop for just a minute. Where is the recorder on the icons? The recorder to record yourself is the same place. It doesn't matter what you choose. And when you click on, again, I'm on the calendar, whether I choose event or assignment, the same rule applies. And it's basically, I'm going to click edit and more options. The same rule applies. Doesn't matter where you are. Right here, it says, can you guys see that? Right here where it says media, upload, or record. If I click on that button, that allows me to record any video. And the students can do the same thing. They can also record and send a video to you through a discussion or an assignment. It doesn't always have to be text-based.
Chris, I know we're like kind of running out of time.
Yeah, sorry.
No, but if you could, you started showing an assignment, and right now, like, I think my big panic is I've got like a Google Doc that I want each kid to have their own copy of for September 14th. And I would love to be able to, like, if I know how to post one assignment that each kid has their own copy of, or even, and I know in Google Classroom, we could have it so that everybody was working on the same like slide deck. Instead of make a copy for each kid, it was, you know, kids can all edit the same thing. That would be great.
So there's basically two ways to use Google in Canvas. Actually, there's more than one way, but there's two really good ways of doing it. And one is you could still do your old way you're used to doing it, which is basically force make a copy, right? And that's where you provide the link to the assignment for your students. You can do that. But the other way down below, and we're talking, for all of you who are asking, this isn't about creating an assignment. All the way down below where it says, what kind of assignment, a submission type, I'm gonna choose an external tool. And what I'm explaining to you right now is not 102. It's like, we're talking like stuff we're doing like later on. But anyways, external tool, find, and I'm looking for what's called the Google Cloud assignment. And this will open my Google document. I can find an assignment, a Google Doc assignment or a Google slide, and it will make a copy for my students instantly. If you've been paying attention to Canvas and Google the past 3 weeks, there's been an update, and I've not done the update. So right now, the Google Cloud assignment works for the next year and 3 months, but I will be bringing in the new LTI pretty soon. It's just that I don't like the fact that it's not using the SpeakRater. So anyways, back to your question. Once I do choose an external tool, I can choose whatever application I want. For example, this one, I can hit submit and hit select, and I'm going to give it a due date. And then I'm going to say it's due tomorrow, and I'm going to hit save and publish. When my students click on this assignment, it will automatically do this. It will automatically make a copy for them. They can work right there in Google, and they can hit submit right there in Canvas. So you would kind of ask two questions, like, I want them working on the same Google slide, or I want them to have their own copy. So I could do either one. This is making a copy for my students. It puts it on their Google account, and it allows them to submit it to me as a teacher so I can see it. If you want them to work on the same Google slide, if it were my opinion, I would probably just put a link in there that says, hey, make a copy and invite your friends and work with them on your team if you want to. So hopefully it answers your question. This is like things that I show people how to do a little more advanced, but we are definitely 100% down with going it. Anyways, so I kind of want to pause for a second because we talked about the calendar, talked about the inboxes. Where does it go so we can see it? Oh, that's a great question. So once you are completing your assignment, you can actually go to SpeakRater and your students will submit it to you. There's no active students in my class, so I won't see it, but my students can actually submit. Let's take a look here and see. Publish. And student view and Google assignment. And so it's not going to let me log in because I'm pretending to be a student, but my students could actually submit an assignment to me, and then that assignment will show up in SpeakRater where I could actually give feedback in Canvas. I can give video feedback because I love it. I could go ahead and just do audio feedback, which means I can go ahead and just start talking, and it will actually type in the information for me because I'm too lazy to type. And I can put feedback in, and the Google document will show up in this space. So you'll see their writing.
Is it mandatory to use Canvas grade back or whatever it's called this year?
Is it mandatory to use Canvas? Oh, like as far as grading in Canvas, you're saying?
Yeah, that feature that you just talked about.
I think our instructions are scores and feedback in Canvas, which, because the reality is you're going to collect an assignment in Canvas, it makes sense to give them a score and feedback in Canvas, because of where else will the feedback go? Unless
Synergy?
it could, and I'm not disagreeing with you by any means. I definitely don't want to say that. And if you feel comfortable collecting your work in Canvas and then spending the time doing it in Synergy, that's totally fine. But the great thing about Canvas is you can collect the work in Canvas, give a score and feedback, and then you can go ahead and just look at how the assignments are doing in Canvas and give a summative in Synergy. So yes, you can still give feedback in Synergy. I'm definitely not saying no, but I should just say that the integration is really well done, that you can give feedback in Canvas and feel confident that your students can quickly and easily find it. And of course, so can parents as well.
Which class
Christina?
is that? Which level?
Which level for what?
To learn how to do that, I have no idea how to do that. Which class?
Oh, we're actually going to be on Thursday. We actually have we have an assignment. We have one course. It's 30 minutes long. We're doing it twice. It's called assignments. And we're actually going to be showing how to create an assignment and then be able to give feedback in those assignments.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Christina?
And just one, I just wanted to add to that really quick. So because we're collecting all of our work through Canvas, one of the great things is if the students go to their dashboard, they can see very easily any of those assignments that have been assigned to them, and they can also view their grades. And so I don't know if he's clicking or not.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for my dashboard to show up right now. And here it comes. Same thing. Students see what's coming up on the right-hand side, what's just to do. Down below are things that are coming up. And eventually down below, as a student, I'll see that recent feedback. So clarifying where you're going to give that feedback. I mean, if you're going to use Synergy and that's how you're going to give feedback, again, I'm not here to say, no, you can't do that. But it's a really important communication with your parents. So students will see that pretty quickly. Go ahead.
And they can click on that view grades button. And so some of the things that you can do in Canvas, you can give very detailed feedback. SpeedGrader is amazing. But you can also just see like accepted, not accepted, complete, incomplete. And parents can go through that and realize where their student, what work their student is missing. So it's a very good way for them to touch base and identify. So not saying it's replacing Synergy, but students really found that very helpful to understand where they were at for their course. In my courses, I also set up all of my assignments so that my assignment groups for the standards, I'm in high school though, and so then I could sort all of my grades according to the standards, and then I could give my summative in Synergy, and it actually made my grading a lot quicker.
Yeah, and our goal towards the September time coming up is to be able to put, Canvas calls them outcomes, which are basically targets or standards for us, to be able to put those in Canvas so that if you wanted to create an assignment and score it against more than one outcome or more than one target, you could. And then you could use your grade book in Canvas, it's called Learning Mastery, to show evidence of how a child's doing against a target. Again, Canvas is not a standards-based grade book. It probably never will be. It's not designed to be. It's basically, I consider Canvas my paper grade book. I've taught since '97, so it was a place where I always had a paper grade book. I always collected evidence. I always had to give feedback. And then I could look at my grade book and then put a summative into my grade book. So that's my processing for Canvas. Is it makes sense to give scores and feedback here and then do a summative. But again, we are not here to break things. We're here to just support teachers in the process. So,
Chris, real quick, since I assume other elementary teachers use a lot of Google and then are now doing what you just showed us. I did have to like authorize my account the first time.
Yes, and you know what? I'm glad you said that. On my left-hand side, under it says account. I'm going to click on my account. I'm going to click on settings. Right down below, it'll say web service. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect that, just so you can see it. And so right here, where it says other services, Google Drive is here, and I'm going to authorize Google Drive. So I'm under my accounts and under settings, I do want to authorize my Google Drive. Students will have to do the same thing. And so I'm glad you pointed that out. There's unfortunately, there's so many little nuances. I don't want to overwhelm you, but that was a good point to bring up. So I'm going to go ahead and authorize. unfortunately, we're like, I'm hanging out. I'm going to hang out for a little bit longer, but we basically got to the point where we've been able to show the calendar. We've been able to lightly create something in the calendar and then be able to go ahead and have it so that students have it or see it. Again, if you're going to create an assignment, once you create your assignment, this is where you're going to put your due date. The moment you put a due date on the Canvas is the moment that calendar will show for the students. It'll show up on the day that it's due for the students. I was hoping I could get into our agenda, which is basically creating modules, and I think we're going to run out of time. But we are going to be doing modules. Basically, we're going to be helping teachers understand how to create material for students to do in Canvas and organize it in what's called a module, which if you taught as long as I have, or Christina, it was an old file folder that you pulled out of your filing cabinet, and inside was a paper test, a quiz, and an article. Well, Canvas does the same thing, except it's all digital, and it's called a module. So,
Although that made me kind of feel old.
oh, I'm sorry. No, Christina is much younger than I am. I'm very old. I've taught for since '97.
So just real quick, who does elementary school people go to have help with their YouTube channel?
My great friend Nicole Carter's she's actually doing one. She did one today at 3 actually, but she's going to be presenting and showing another one on how actually all teachers across the whole district can set up their YouTube channel and the workflow of recording a video in Zoom and uploading it to your YouTube channel and then making that visible. And the great thing about Canvas, and again, this is not Canvas versus Seesaw or Canvas versus Google Classroom by any means, but when you put a video in Canvas, a YouTube video in Canvas, and this also means your Zoom, it is the only thing the students see. When I click play, I'm not confronted with another, video to watch. I can click on YouTube as a student, but at least I know for a fact that in that space is only going to be that video.
Did you
yeah.
see the chat?
No, what did it say?
Somebody just said that Nicole said that you would know the answer to her YouTube issue.
That's awesome. Okay, well then I guess I better be specific with how to answer the question, because I will answer it for you. I guess I'm thinking we need to set up your YouTube channels. That's the most important thing for our teachers.
So this is the person who's having the issue.
Oh, okay.
I have my YouTube set up.
Yeah.
She walked us through a really simple thing about just find some small video.
Yeah.
Put it on your channel. Make
Yeah.
sure it's unlisted, and then go into. Then I went into Canvas.
Yeah.
And clicked on the little YouTube button, and I copied the URL in, and it says no results.
Now, was it because of the video itself or because you copied the playlist from your YouTube?
I didn't copy the playlist. It was
Okay.
a link to the video.
Okay. Oh, so you know what? I'm happy. I'll hang out with you if people want to hang out. I'll happy to hang out with you.
I mean, I think the other thing is that many of the elementary teachers are feeling super stressed because we don't have the template courses, and so we're trying things in our fake course or a sandbox course, but we don't see them. And
so let's take care of that right now. So if you guys can hang out with me for 5 more minutes, let's solve all of your problems right now in one foul swoop. So 2 things. Pretty much most elementary teachers should have all of their Canvas courses inside. And I know Miss Elms is here, and Miss Elms, are you cool with giving me a thumbs up and saying, Chris, you could be me if you're still here, or if you maybe you're drinking coffee. Yeah, she does. Okay. Yes. All right. She's one of my favorites, by the way. All right. So that being said, I am going to pretend to be Miss Elms, because what I mean by that is that for the most part, all elementary teachers should have a Canvas course, their courses. Now, I don't want to disrespect anybody who's saying, I don't have mine. It's totally 100% possible that yours has not been populated. And those are due strictly to the fact of what schools are inputting into Synergy. Everything in Canvas, and you're like, well, Chris, what am I looking at? Well, right now, you're looking at Miss Elms. This is her class. Thanks, Miss Elms. So if I'm Miss Elms, I'm a 5th grade teacher, the first thing I'm going to do is go to my dashboard. And somebody just mentioned their courses aren't there. Again, every school is importing their material into Synergy scheduling-wise. I think almost all the elementary teachers are done. It's very possible that a K-8 school is not finished. It's very possible that your 4th grade class is not done. I apologize. So I'm going to solve that for you by doing this. So if I'm Miss Elms and I do go to my dashboard, I do see that she has a 5th grade homeroom course, and she can see, oh, look at that. Here it is. So I'm going to give you two things that you can do. One, if you don't have the course at all, click on your dashboard and click on start a new course. And you can literally call it whatever you want. She's already has a fake course. I'm not going to create another one for you, but you could call it fake course. You could call it whatever you want. You could call it planning math 2020 if you want to. Or you could call it your master course. Somebody had asked me to not use the word, which is totally awesome. But basically, you can call it whatever you want. I don't really care. When you're done, you can click into that course. So right here is Miss Elm's fake course that she's already created. In that course is information. And if she wants to do anything in that course, she can. She can go ahead and go to a page, and she can make a page if she wants to. Now, if your template is not there, I'm going to make sure that you guys get your templates if you want to, okay? If you are Miss Elms and you're like Miss Elms and you have your courses in there, go to your course. Sorry. I'm going to go to where it says pages on the left-hand side.
In the middle.
There you go. And I'm going to click on view pages, which, by the way, these instructions are right here. I actually have them on the slides. But anyways, I'm going to click on view all pages, and I'm going to make a copy of Mrs. Elm's homeroom court page. And the reason why I'm going to do duplicate is because I don't want to mess it up. So if I Miss Elm's and I'm like, I want to play around with my home page, but if I mess it up, I'm going to get frustrated. So you can right click on any little jelly bean, duplicate it, and go ahead and do whatever you want to this page because it's a duplicate copy of what you had. So if you are an elementary teacher, click on your dashboard, see if those courses exist. If you're a middle school or high school teacher, you're like, Chris, I have nothing, then I'm going to give you.
I already put it in comments.
Oh, sweet. She's already put in the template. So if you're a middle school or high school teacher and you're like, Chris, I just want to do something today, click on your dashboard, make a new course. You can call it fake course if you want to. And then Christina put in the chat the link so that you could go ahead.
Actually, using the link I learned today does not work as good as if you're in that fake course and then you say, I put the steps in the Q&A for this session.
Okay. Instead, I might just do BSD. I'm going to click on the comments on the left-hand side, and I'm going to type in, and the comments are where you can get all this cool free stuff. Click on BSD homepage.
Hey,
oh my goodness, what is that?
It's Ben Lloyd. Did you see him?
Yeah, it is. There we go. And then see, here's the page right here. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to hit import, and I'm not going to do it to Miss Elm's class, but I could specifically bring this template into her fake course, and then you can build it. I apologize. That's way fast. I should never speak that fast to any of you. But on this slide deck down here, I put the instructions if you want to duplicate your homepage like Miss Elms has, or if you want to go ahead and say, I would rather import this template and make a new course, you can do that. For middle school and high school, it's potential that you may not get your Canvas courses till September 11th, but you can create a new course and build in there, and then take all of the content from that course and bring it into your course with students.
So if you're in elementary school and you haven't gotten your courses yet, how do you get your homepage?
If you are in elementary school and you haven't got your course, you can email me, truly, because I asked Nicole today to take today's her course that she built out. And this is what Nicole and Carrie built out. They made this template and make it so we can put it in the commons. It's not there right now, so. Ms. Elms, thanks for letting me be you today. So how can I help the rest of you? Because I'm happy to hang out for a little bit. I'm happy to respond to some questions. I'm also happy to say it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock somewhere. If you want to go take off and go do something else, find a refreshing drink, I invite you to do so. I'm going to hit stop recording because they might have actually, maybe my boss heard me say that out loud.